I was really excited. I started with them, and a goal was really to build this up, make it more profitable, and sell it in about 5 years. I said to one of the founders, I said, I could tell by the way you're operating, you're leaking, you're just not capturing profit. You just don't know where it is. It's leaking out of your pockets. And I said, I think if we double the size of this company and just plug the leaks, this thing could be worth $15 million easily. Well, it turned out much better than that.
Today's guest is Robert Friedman. Thanks for being here, Robert.
My pleasure.
A little bit about Robert. He is a fractional CFO, independent director, and strategic advisor with Pro CFO Partners. Robert spent more than 20 years as CFO of BAMCO, which we're going to talk more about that story, where he helped transform the business from the inside out, installing financial discipline, performance systems, and accountability structures that drove significant increases in revenue and profitability. He served on the ESOP board and led the company through a successful transition to employee ownership, which ESOP stands for
Employee Stock Ownership Plan.
Okay, which is one of your options when selling your business. And so he led the company through a successful transition to employee ownership after 2 earlier sale attempts fell apart. Today, he works with founders across various industries, most notably construction and manufacturing, helping them build the financial clarity and infrastructure that makes a business more valuable and transferable. He recently completed an executive MBA at NYU Stern and holds ESOP Governance Essentials certification from the Private Directors Association. So, Robert, you've lived this from the inside, the build, the failed deals, eventually the win. So let's start at the beginning. Tell us about what you walked into at BAMCO and what needed to change first.
Okay, I walked into a company that was needed to evolve to the next level. Many of these entrepreneur-led companies are driven by sales and operations. So the back office, finance, and accounting function is the trailing function in it. But if that function really helps invigorate the entire organization because it provides information and clarity to make intelligent decisions.
Right.
And so I helped with that.
Tell us a little bit more about BAMCO. Set the stage for the audience. How big was the business? What industry are they in? All that good stuff.
BAMCO, when I started, was a $10 million business in the specialty construction space in the New York metropolitan area. And they had been built up from scratch by the two founders. Started it about 15 years before. I was actually a CPA at the time, and I was the manager on the account and working on that account for about a year and a half. And I would say trying to make the most sense out of their financial information and doing their tax work. And they were impressed with me.
Got it.
The one founder, I kind of did the back of an envelope evaluation for him. As he told me, this is a really hard business, and I would love to build it up and sell it. Maybe you could help me. And that's actually what ended up happening, is he made me an offer. I said, I need a piece of the pie, and I could help you do it. And they said, no. And they called me back a week later and said, how much do you want? So, without going into further detail, I was really excited. I started with them, and a goal was really to build this up, make it more profitable, and sell it in about 5 years. So they empowered me. They empowered me. I did a lot of, I changed the infrastructure of the financial department, put in new ERP systems, studied their business from the ground up and the top down. And basically, we went from, I would say, 65 employees to eventually, in about 5 years, we had about 100 employees, and we were doing 25 million. And had changed the business strategically, too, because we found out where we were really making money and where we were losing money. That made a massive difference. So the business was probably making In the very beginning, I'm just going to say $400,000 a year. Construction is a tough business.
Profitability, EBITDA.
Profitability.
Okay.
Very tough business, highly competitive. How do you become the leader in your industry? So we worked on that. We found out where our advantages were, and where maybe we shouldn't be competing.
When you first did that back of the envelope valuation, right? And you saw the opportunity and they came to you and said, hey, we would like to build this up to sell it. What did you, do you remember, what did you think the opportunity was to increase that valuation? 2x, 3x, any ideas?
Well, I guess in my experience, I probably looked at a couple of hundred companies, and I was an auditor. I also worked for private equity to go in and see, kick the tires and see where the soft spots were in a business. So I knew where the soft spots were in this business, and they were leaking profitability out of a lot of different holes. So I addressed them. I said to one of the founders, I said, I could tell by the way you're operating, you're leaking. You're just not capturing profit. You just don't know where it is. It's leaking out of your pockets. And I said, I think if we double the size of this company and just plug the leaks, this thing could be worth $15 million easily. Well, it turned out much better than that, actually.
Okay. So you thought going into it, what was it worth when they were doing the 400,000 EBITDA? What was it worth at that point, back of the envelope?
Not much at all. Maybe $1 million.
$1 million. And
maybe, because no one would buy it.
Yeah. So you thought if I came in, if we did the work and we closed the leaks, we could make this a $15 million.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty significant.
Well,
15x. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But maybe not everybody believed I could do that. One of the two didn't believe it.
Hence the 1 week deliberation between.
Hence that, and the other founder wanted to be out. So a little difference.
So you said I knew where the soft spots were, right? Going in. What were some of those from your perspective?
Well, the number one driver in that business was labor. And they had their field installation was a huge number. And essentially the business didn't have good accountability over the functions inside of it.
Okay.
They were just hard workers. It's very common. You say, if I can sell, here's 3 functions inside every simple business, okay? Right. Sales, ops, deliver the product and please the customer, and the back office, which I'm going to call finance just to dumb it down kind of, okay? Yep. Who's driving the business?
Sales.
Sales. Got to sell. Got to sell. If you can't sell, and if we keep selling and and ops is working and we deliver, we execute, the money will follow. Simple recipe, right? Yeah. At some point in time, that recipe doesn't work as well anymore. The sales still drives it. You saw it keep selling, kept bidding, but the profits don't really grow.
Because there's not that discipline and right. labor productivity. Can you talk more about that, especially as it related to this construction, manufacturing type setting?
Yeah, they don't spend enough time, I guess, analyzing the financials and the key metrics inside the business. They don't just pop up and are easy to find. And then you need an expert who knows, kind of what those things should be and brings them to the surface. And you want to bring them to the surface regularly, as soon as possible, because if something goes awry, you want to identify it and have a chance to take action again towards it. So those are the systems that I helped build and, got the right people in place to help me do that. I also was able to connect with people all over across the business. So first thing that I did was I became a consultant. I went around and met everyone in the business, 65 people there, but all the people who you start with, the people who run each function.
Sure.
So we had a shop here. We had guys who run the field. We had the sales department. There was some manufacturing activity going on. So I went and I watched that. And I asked them, what are some of the obstacles? What's great about this company? Why do you like working for this company? And we start with that. That's the best place to start, right?
Okay.
And
And
you
what
gotta
would you hear from the people when you started asking that
Oh,
question?
this is like a family. We all work. This is a really strong work ethic here. We all work very hard, and we're a team.
Okay.
That was great.
Yeah.
Great to hear. And then I said, what are some of the obstacles in your job, things that get in the way of you, of doing your job more efficiently, things that are frustrating for you? Tell me about that. And so we went around for probably about 3 to 6 months, just learning kind of what's going on under the surface of the water here.
Yeah.
And I could see there were some things. They were so busy working hard
Yeah.
and focusing on selling and operating, and at the end of the day, they're tired.
Right. And the margins are so razor thin, right? Would you say like 3%, 4%?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty razor thin margins. So you're like, we don't have time to slow down, right?
No.
So we just gotta keep working.
Right. So you try to bring a bit of a strategic mindset, which is strategic meaning that longer than a year, longer than 3 months, longer than a week, longer than a day. What do we want to be when we grow up? Where do we want to be? And so those are projections. We have some idea of the margins in the business, what the overhead costs are and all those things. And then you project forward, which is what I did on the back of the envelope. I said, if we can get to this is the margins that we're making. And this will equal, this is a simple math formula. This is what the profits will be if we stay the way we are. If we can become more efficient, if we can plug the leaks, this is what we'll look like. It's easy to see on an envelope.
Yeah.
And then multiply it by a multiple.
Yeah.
So that was easy for him to understand.
And so your original plan was to sell in 5 years, but it took about 3 times longer. What kept moving the finish line?
Well, we built a great infrastructure and model with excellent information. One of the keys to this things, I'm going to tell you first the first phase. Okay.
Sure.
First phase was let's professionalize this thing. And in doing so, I got some industry information to benchmark our company against peers.
Okay.
And I showed them that versus what they looked like. This is like an income statement, okay? There's a lot of room for improvement there. A lot of room.
Where were your profit margins at that point compared to industry?
Ours were about 15%
Okay.
gross profit, and the industry was more like 16 or 17 on average, and best-in-class information was over 20.
Ooh, okay.
So 5 points, we could gain 5 points. I'll tell you what happened over time. Just by getting the right information to the right people at the right time, we did almost 25.
Wow. So tell me more about that, right information to the right people at the right time. Can you be specific about that? What did that mean inside of that business?
Well, let's go back to the labor example, okay? We had a labor force that was, some of it was unionized, but nobody tracked regularly how they were doing against their budgets, like what we thought they were going to be doing. That was one of the major projects that I've myself and one of the founders enforced, and they did not want to do it.
No, nobody wants that discipline.
Well, we ran 200 jobs a year going through this thing, the process from beginning to end with, at one point, 100 people. That's a lot of things going on at one time.
Yes.
Okay, you have to have solid systems set up to handle that kind of throughput. So we did. That's part of what I built. Anyhow, so operations resisted this.
Sure.
They said, our guys are too busy to have to keep track of their time like that. I said, really? Did you know that in the construction industry that there's 30% waste in the field. 30% waste. How about if we just improve that to 20?
Sure. Right. You can still waste time, just waste less.
So information is power. This is just some of the information.
Yeah.
And then what we did was we agreed, all right, let's make this let's make an incentive to them to beat their budgets. And in a way, believe it or not, so we made a newspaper that every week each team had to report their status versus their budget. And it was actually a little more complex, but we knew they would be over or under budget versus that was the expectation. We want them to beat their budgets. So when we were basically planning the jobs, we give them a 5% extra in the budget. So we wanted them to beat it, and we gave them an incentive to beat it. So we would pay them, just the foreman and the second man, an incentive of about $200 or $300 per day if they could come under budget. Now, most of these people are on a set pay.
Yeah.
This was a way to make some extra money and feel really good about yourself.
Yeah.
It turned it into a sporting event.
How so?
So it started out as resistance. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't have time for that. We do real work. We get dirty.
You don't understand. You guys in the office.
You guys are in the office. You don't get it.
Your cushy life.
Well, first of all, the guys who were the stars, they weren't known to be the stars. Now they had a measuring stick, a clear measuring stick about how am I doing. Hey, boss, I'm the star. The guys who were the laggards, they hated this.
Sure. Yeah.
So what happened was, if you think about the variation of, do you hit your budgets?
Yeah.
The entire group moved forward and pushed the margins up.
How long did that take? Right. So you said you spent like 6 to 9 months getting to know people, just building relationships, and then you started working on this budget piece of it. How long did it take for you to start seeing movement?
Well, the budget part probably took, we had to get the infrastructure, the technology, change the culture a little bit, and then keep building on it and making it better, continuous improvement. That didn't happen until year 2.
Okay.
It started in year 2, was resisted probably for 3 months, and then people got in the discipline, the weekly discipline. Every Friday had a report. If they didn't report, they said, what's the matter? This is important. And that newspaper went to all the field people.
Now, okay, I have a question, right? Because I work with leadership teams, and usually CEOs and founders who are good at sales and revenue driving and who are not doing, not beating the industry standards in profitability, they usually, the CEOs themselves usually resist accountability a little bit, or they're just not wired that way to do like a Friday report. Like they kind of resist it. And it's hard as the finance leader to come in and say, hey, we need Friday reports, when maybe the CEO or the founders are not wired that way, so they're not great at backing you up. Did you encounter any of that?
Oh, yes. That's a great one. Because they're really not accountable to anybody except maybe themselves, and they give each other some room. In this scenario, there were 3 leaders, right? So one leading finance, one leading operations, and one leading sales. And 2 of us the operations leader didn't really want to do this. Didn't want to be accountable, right? Didn't want to hold the people accountable. It was hard. But the other 2 pushed them. He said, you have to do this for the good of the whole.
Did he come around eventually?
He eventually reluctantly came around. And once he saw the thing working, that it became easier to manage that group because they managed themselves.
Yeah.
And each crew, started holding their people accountable. This flowed all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah.
They held their crews accountable for productivity. They said, listen, we install panels here. You have to install 8 panels a day for us to meet and I'm going to watch you.
Yeah.
If you have a problem, talk to me.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Because I want you to succeed, right? You know,
Right.
when you succeed, I succeed. So don't work in a silo. So I just coming back to that, I think what I want to use this to hit on with the audience is if you are a leader who's listening to this and you don't really love the idea of accountability because it's hard, it's not natural, it's not how you're wired, and it's not how you've previously run your business, that if you want the better results, like trust your team when they try to bring this in, because this is the pathway to, and they don't, look, they don't have to be the ones necessarily driving the accountability, but like support the accountability.
Absolutely.
Find the person on your team who's going to drive accountability and support their initiatives. So I digress. So we were talking about, what kept moving the finish line to.
Okay, so I'm building up to that. This was actually in 2000. I started in 2002.
Okay.
By 2007, we had moved the EBITDA to over 6 million.
Whoa!
400,000. Yeah, this was. I mean, I don't know if you could do this every time. I doubt
How
it.
had the revenue tracked with that?
The revenue more than doubled.
So the sales team was also pushing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we also started analyzing sales and A, B, and C customers, that type of thing. What type of work was the most profitable work? Was a best fit for us strategically? So this, I didn't really talk about strategy, but we found out like where do we fit best? Where are our competitive advantages? Yield the most benefit, and where are the customers really need our help? And we built ourselves to look like that.
So I just need to hit this for a second. So you doubled revenue, but you like 12x'd EBITDA.
Yep.
If I did, I'm sure that math is a little off, but double revenue, but through profitability and accountability measures and just understanding the data and what it said, 12x profitability.
Yeah.
What would that do for the founders who are listening, the CEOs who are listening right now, who like, if you could 12x your results with only, 2xing your revenue efforts, that's crazy.
Well, they had to pay for a better accounting department, and they had to pay for me, and they had to give me a piece of the business. But there was just a lot of opportunity there. And I think this is, like we said, that I specialize in construction and manufacturing. There's some of this in manufacturing, too. There's some kind of weak spots that nobody really pays attention to. There's money there. There's a lot of money there. And there's always, every business has its bright spots, has the competitive advantages. Play to your advantages. Get rid of where you're weak.
Yeah.
In every, applies everywhere, just to people, to functions, to businesses, sports, everything. And so I looked at it in a way like a sporting event. Let's play to our strengths. Let's play our game, and let's develop our game.
Right. So then you know how to win. So, okay, 2007.
So now we're
a
up
lot
to
of progress. We
2007.
kind of know what's coming,
we
I
hired
think.
investment bankers. This process was, we hired a great investment banker. I think we got lucky, a team to help us do this. And he brought, this was a lot of time. I was really the liaison here to do this. This was a beautiful event. He brought us 30 private equity companies because we were beautiful.
Yeah, you were
Created a
25%.
gorgeous- And
Yeah,
we were on
beating the
a
best in
track
class.
like this.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Going up, and the profits were going up. And there's, the story, we built the story that, no one can compete with us. We're in the lead here in the New York metropolitan area. Look across the river. Look at all these buildings that could do this, that we can work on. It was a beautiful story. But it took time to create the story.
Sure.
It took several years and to build that track record of beating our marks. 30 private equity, 5 public companies that came to the table. We interviewed maybe 5 in the end. A couple dropped out. And that process that started, rolled into 2008. And by the summer of 2008, we were about to finish signing a letter of intent with a public company. It was so exciting. It was so exciting. I was proud, and they were proud, and except beginning of September 2008, most people know what happened. Lehman went bankrupt. The whole bottom fell out of the financial world. And we tried to hold on. They wanted to buy us, but you just couldn't complete anything. So that was step one. That was phase one. Then what happened to the economy? Okay, so we couldn't sell. We couldn't make the sale. We worked up to there perfectly. What happened? 2009, 2010.
Was there a
Everybody
chance?
started going down.
Yeah, I was going to
Everything
say, was there a chance that you guys were almost going to go out of business from this like hero to zero?
No,
or
we
did
were
you?
really financially strong. We had
Got it.
strong great customers, and we had a backlog of work that would last almost 2 years.
Oh, okay, great.
Strong work. So we did well in 2008 and 2009. It's just this business, this particular. Not every business has
Sure.
a backlog of work like that. But we couldn't help get pulled down. There was no work. And we went then downwards for a while. The values disappeared. And then you have to build it back up again.
Do you know where the
For
low
5
point
years.
was in terms of revenue and profit? Where'd you guys end up?
On the bottom, we shrunk probably 50% in revenue. Profitability went to break even.
Staying alive at that point.
Look at that
And that
change.
was like what, 2010?
2010. Then we had to try to build it back up, do it again. So now you see why it took 3 times as long. These
Yeah.
are the kind of things you can't control.
Yeah. Tell me about that mental state, because I've had clients that have like that, been right on the precipice of an amazing exit or sale, and something falls through or the board decides not to take it. And then you have to deal with the mental state of the leaders who've really been driving for this,
Yes.
and almost depression event. Tell me about that time with the leadership team.
It was very hard. It was very hard. First of all, you could taste it. You were right there.
Yeah.
And second of all, you know, leaders like to be in control.
Right. Right.
And, we made this, it's like a wedding, and it started raining on the wedding. You feel terrible. I mean, you get through it, but we never finished the wedding. So sad. There was some depression and this major disappointment for a time.
How long do you think it took you personally to navigate through that?
That's a great question. I would say I struggled for a couple of years because it wasn't my plan. It wasn't my plan at all.
Why did
And
you
we
keep
had to
going?
regroup. We had to think about laying people off.
What kept you from walking away at that point? Like, hey, I gave it my best shot. I did what I came here to do. Circumstances outside of my control took it off the table.
I knew we could bring it back, and I had a financial stake in it. And I love being an owner.
Okay.
I love being an owner. It was my baby too.
Yeah.
So stuck with it and worked towards building that 5-year track record again. It's really a 5-year run. That's best. You could maybe do a 2 or 3 year run, but you want to show an upward track because, in a way, when you go for sale, it's a beauty contest.
Tell me more about that.
Buyers have lots of options to buy other companies. So you're in there with all these other contestants. You have to be the most attractive one, the one that's compelling to buy, that gets you the best price. And it gives you options for negotiation. And they're not going to buy most of those companies. Probably most. Almost all.
So 2010, kind of the low point, and you start building again. And I know there was a second almost sale before you went the ESOP round. Tell me what happened there.
Well, I would say from 2012 to 2017, we started building this track record again of building up and showing that we could hit our marks or do better than what we promised. Because we would have projections and forecasts. We're also, as a CFO, this is what you do. You're forward-leaning. Accounting is more historical. and compliance. And those forecasts are really, in a way, they're really like the tomato stakes that hold up the tomatoes. So if I could use that analogy, when you see a goal, you're going to move towards it. So you constantly want to see those things in your future. And you tend to hit them. And if you're good at it, you'll want to exceed them.
Yeah.
And then the buyer can see that you have a history of doing that.
Right. It's not a fluke. It's not one good year. It is discipline, structure, and then they feel confident that they can repeat it after they buy you.
That's right.
You want to remove any of that doubt. So tell me about the second sale attempt.
So the second sale attempt didn't go as well. The buyers they kept the potential buyers they brought to the table were all private equity. A lot of them were in, I would say, vultures. They were trying to buy something as cheap as possible, and that didn't feel very good.
This was like 2017, you said, 2018?
Yeah, about 2017.
What was happening economically there? Maybe it wasn't as strong as buyer
It
pool as
wasn't the
2007.
strongest economy like the other time. The first time the economy was cooking. This one, there's some struggles in the economy. Interest rates were higher, which is a depressant on company values. And construction industry in particular is a little harder to sell. It's harder to manage too. And so it wasn't in favor. That industry was not really in favor, was more avoided. There was not as many people interested in buying a company like that. Even though we had built a very strong manufacturing element, because we had manufactured our own product, custom product. In fact, there were buyers that were interested in just the manufacturing, but we couldn't really pull the thing apart. I think there was a synergy in all the parts.
How much had you rebuilt? You said you had gotten up to $6 million when you were at 2007, and then you went down to just break even. How much were you able to build back by 2017?
We couldn't build it all back. We couldn't. In fact, what happened was, it's a competitive world. Business is competitive.
Yep.
What ended up happening is we were the front runners in this particular industry, which was metal panels, which were used as facades of building. It makes a really sharp looking building. Okay. So we were the ones who were the designers and front runners. The highest quality was the most important thing. And all these other companies that were construction oriented sees, wow, these people are getting all this work.
Right.
They went into it and underbid it. And we had to compete with them at some level. So it kind of changed the market. And this happens in business, not just for us. This happens to everybody. Business is constantly changing. So, there's some luck involved in this.
Were you still able to beat? Well, I'm sure the industry had changed, right? You had said you were at 15%, and you were trying to get to 20, and you got to 25%. Were you still able to maintain that kind of best-in-class margin, or also not?
We were still best in class, but we dropped some. We dropped some in that.
But still better than the 15 when you came in.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we were definitely in the best in class, but now we were more. In fact, what happened, this is interesting, is the best in class margins for the pure benchmarks. We were above that. We were above that because we had such a killer business. We built this, and we were the front runners. We were picking and choosing the work we wanted. So we were passing on work. Competitors were taking that work. And it was good enough for them. We had a higher standard for ourselves. There was a profit discipline in our business.
I love that. I would like everybody to take note who's listening. Profit discipline. Set your floor and don't compromise on it. So you said in 2017 you went back to market using an investment banker?
Yes, I think it's critical to have an investment banker and a good one. and a good team around you. Because if you don't have the right financial person inside, that's going to be an impediment.
Who would you recommend for people listening? Who should they have on their team when they're working up to sale?
You need a good attorney
Okay.
to help with contracts and negotiations. And I think you need an investment banker, not a broker. It's a much more sophisticated process. They can build a book, a pitch book, which is really important to have a good pitch book. The second group didn't build as good of a pitch book for us.
Did you not go with the same investment banker?
No, our banker actually left that company. He was dynamite. And we ended up with somebody. I mean, they all look great when they're selling you.
Yep.
But you really need to find out a little deeper who they are, what their track record is, what industries do they work in. This was more of a generalist.
So,
I mean, he was polished.
So find somebody who specializes in your industry.
That's best.
How do you go about doing that?
You could ask your CPA firms. You could ask, in your network. I'm a due diligence person, a research person, and I brought in, like, we're really located in New Jersey. I brought in what appeared to be the three top lower middle market investment bankers in the area here within 100 miles.
Right. So your size,
We
your
interviewed them
industry,
all.
and interview them, bring them in, see, because you're going to do a lot of personal, deep work with them.
I did.
Behind the scenes, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned call your CPA about potentially an attorney. Anybody else that they should be thinking about putting on their team?
Maybe if you had known some other business owners who had sold their business and had talked to them about their experiences.
Yep. Okay, great. So the PE firms that was not a good market that time. You weren't getting the offers that you wanted. So then tell me about how the ESOP transition came about?
Well, that was also, you talked about the emotions of the entire process. Again, This was not coming out the way we wanted. We've been doing this for a long time. We had a great relationship with the CPA firm. In fact, I had actually worked for that firm many years ago.
That's how they found you, right?
And we stayed in touch with them. Great relationship. And they said, Robert, take a look at this ESOP thing. There are a number of construction and manufacturing companies and other types of companies that are in our portfolio that have gone that route. And I think it might work really well for you. And at first I rolled my eyes. I said, oh.
Because it's a longer timeline to get your money than just a PE firm coming in and being like,
it is.
Here's your.
It is. But there's pluses and minuses to all these different options. And you really should know the difference between the strategic buyers, the private equity buyers, and maybe an ESOP, which is the option.
Can you talk to that right now for the listeners, the different types of buyers?
Strategic buyers have their reasons for buying you, usually fit in their portfolio well. They see synergies with your business and their business. They think that the synergies are above and beyond the work that you do and the profits that you make, that together you're stronger than apart.
Or maybe like this is growth by acquisition as well.
Well, not just by acquisition. I mean, you could
new
be
business line for them.
Your business lines fit into their portfolio of business really well. They already understand your business. They're working in that business. You could be a manufacturer for a product that's in their supply chain.
Okay.
And they would rather take you out. That's a synergy right there. They control you. And they don't have to negotiate with you for price.
Sure. So those are strategic buyers.
That's a strategic buyer. Private equity is a financial buyer. And a financial buyer is most concerned with profitability, maybe to the detriment of other parts of the business. They may fire a lot of people. They come in and take control very quickly, and they can change the entire style of running the business. And that can be somewhat, at times, violent.
Yeah. And Now everybody who's thinking about PE is going to be scared. Don't be scared.
Well, I think they already are.
Yeah, that's true. There are good and then family offices, right?
Family offices,
who
yeah.
will buy and they'll keep in their tend to keep in their portfolios, right? They're not.
Yes.
They like what you have and they see the more long-term investment.
Yeah, they're not as heavy-handed, and they're more patient because the private equity isn't patient. They're looking to turn you around and sell their entire portfolio within 3 to 5 to 7. 7 would be long. So they got to make it happen quick. They've got to grow sales. They've got to get you to be more profitable, throw off cash flow. So to do that, they got to cut costs.
Right. And they're going to come in and they're not necessarily going to bring the team along on the organizational changes. They're going to say, this is happening. We're putting in a new ERP. We're putting in a new sales system. You're either on board or you're off, right?
Well, this goes back to maybe violence, a little nasty word. But
I think it's a great word.
yeah, so that's also the reason we passed on that, going down that road. Back to the ESOP, if you don't mind.
Yes,
the
please.
ESOP was very interesting. ESOP is a tax-advantaged transaction. There's two different ways to run an ESOP. One is if you are a C corporation, you can do a 1042 transaction, which is the owner pays no tax on the sale.
Really?
Till a future date. Yeah,
because it's like an installment sale? Is that why?
Yes. You don't get a lot of cash up front when you do an ESOP. Essentially, you're selling to a trust, which is for the benefit of all employees. It's a qualified plan, which is similar to maybe a 401k plan or defined benefit plan, which is a tax-exempt entity. And it has to comply with ERISA. So there's this whole set of rules. There's some complexity to it. And you need a separate trustee to help you safeguard the asset of that trust, which is the company, at least in the beginning. So this is interesting because compared to private equity who might buy this, private equity is going to borrow a lot of money and put it on the back of the company. There's still debt in this transaction, but the private equity transaction, they have to pay taxes on the income of the company. So let's just make an example. If the company's making $5 million, they got to pay $2 million in taxes every year net.
And then do their debt
$3
servicing.
million, right. And the $3 million is left over to pay the debt.
So
this is oversimplified, but there's a lot less
take that
money.
into the ESOP world, right?
In
so
the
now
ESOP world,
make $5 million.
If you're an S corp, there's no tax on the profit. You keep the entire $5 million. You can pay a lot more debt off faster with that plan than you could in another way. So you essentially borrow. You give the ESOP a note. The note is paid off for several years, but it is a much more gentle transfer of power. Succession plan is much more gentle. You have many years to complete it. So it's a lot easier to handle. It's a lot easier to announce to all your employees.
I feel like I want to have you back to do an ESOP specific podcast. So how about we won't go too deep into the mechanics of it, and we'll do a deeper dive onto ESOPs for people who might be considering it. But so your CPA firm says to you, hey, you should consider an ESOP, and you think, let me go learn about this. How much time did you spend? I'm assuming you probably went deep down the rabbit hole. How much time did you spend learning about it before you felt comfortable to say, hey, this is a thing we could do?
Well, the CPA firm and they helped us. First, they did a presentation to us about the basics of it for an hour over lunch. And they said I can introduce you to some people. I did a similar situation with the due diligence out there. I said, who can do this for us? And I ended up with 3 finalists, and I interviewed them. So one of the first things you want to do is you're going to hire this group. You'll select your investment banker group that specializes in ESOPs to do a feasibility study. It costs somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000, but they do some very complex projections for you, and they explain to you in great detail what the road you'd be going down. You can get off the road if you want at that point, but now you have a really good idea what you'd be getting into at that point and how it would work for you, where the cash flows would look like. That's really important. There's really no substitute for that. And once you get through that stage, then you start again, making a pitch book.
Yep.
It's a lighter pitch book because at that point, you're not quite selling to yourself, but it's all kind of part of, you're not selling in essence so much to a third party. You're selling to your own group.
Your trust. And people want to be in it. Okay, I have so many questions about ESOP, so we're going to save that for season 2.
It's interesting.
To go back down this path. In the meantime, people can reach out to you and get some more information. But let's bring it, I don't want to keep you too long, but I do want to talk about what specific advice you would have for founders. So if a founder is 5 years out, what should their financial picture look like today? What should they be thinking about?
They should be building a track record, polishing up, cleaning up, not just their financials, which will be scrutinized in detail, but also polishing up all the aspects of their business. You want to have, let's just take sales. You want to have a very clear funnel and history of what's your closing ratio, who your customers are, who are your A customers, what are the angles you use to sell, what does your sales department look like. It should look like a machine that turns, the wheel turns. This is how it works, and it's predictable.
And it's got error reporting built in so that you know when something's breaking.
That's correct.
Not gut anymore.
Yes. You should polish up your strategy. You should have a business plan.
We talked about this before, what the one financial decision that feels small now but quietly kills options later?
I think bringing on the right team, there's a cost to that. And I would say you don't want to cheap out on that because you want the best team to surround yourself. This is a team effort. This isn't the only experience I've had with this. I have a family business that was a transition and a sale and many other, through my network of other friends who've sold. I've seen the same situation. Entrepreneurs and founders are very confident in themselves, and a lot of them want to take this and do it themselves. They're do-it-yourself people.
Yeah.
And so could be one of the major mistakes, is to try to do this yourself. This is very complex and engrossing. Once you get involved in this deeply, it's going to take all your time. And your key people are going to wonder why you're not around. What are you on the phone? Who are you on the phone with? Why is your door always closed? You need to have that team who can take this load off your plate and handle the whole thing until you need to be involved.
Yeah.
And so you can run the business.
I will often say, where I'm trying to get the leadership teams that I work with to is, or the CEOs, is to think everything you do in your company, think of it as a project or an objective, and someone needs to own the running of that. And it should be the most skilled person. And I often find CEOs, they want to own all the running of all the projects and then direct people, but there's just not enough of them to do it. So it's what expert are you going to hire or bring onto your team, like in your situation, that is going to own this initiative, right?
Yes. Now, I was just going to say a little more if I could.
Yes, please.
So fractional CFOs in the lower middle market, let's say the $10 to $100 million company, they probably don't need an expensive CFO to be there all the time, but they might need someone to play more of a leadership and guidance role and a coaching role. That's an expense. That's not cheap, that thing. As a fractional, you can do that job.
I also want to just highlight that because a lot of the growth-minded companies that I work with see the value in developing their talent, right? They will put money into leadership training. And I have never made that connection before you just said that a fractional CFO, normally you think I'm hiring them to do the function, but you're also actually hiring them to be the coach and developer of your internal finance people. So that's an important way to look at it, I think.
Also the plan. The plan, which is a long-term plan. It's a strategic partner to build the value, see where the weaknesses are, see where the advantages are, play them up, and get you prepared, get all your house in order so you look like you're the best candidate.
Fantastic. All right. Last question. What do founders most underestimate about how long exit prep actually takes?
I think they underestimate building the story, building all the framework around the story, building the track record, putting your best foot forward. Nobody knows everything. So when you bring in someone independently to take a look at things for you, they're going to find some things that you could probably do better. And that person could be the fractional CFO, can help you look your best and optimize your situation. That's what I would say. So, and there's a cost to that, but also tremendous benefit. And it takes time to build this right.
I always look at most entrepreneurial CEOs and founders are starters. They're really good starters.
Yes.
And they will build they'll put low-level finishers around them. But I think my takeaway from this is the value of having a high-level finisher who has that experience to bring to the table. It's like that yin and yang, right? So any last thoughts before we wrap up for people who are considering there's a path they want to go down? What's one piece of advice you really want them to think about?
This is it's a long process. It's easily underestimated. It's a grind, and it takes a lot of time and effort and thought to put together a really good program to sell your business. And you need to surround yourself with the right people to help you get there. That will give you the most options at sale time, and there's really no substitute for that. You can't sell it yourself. It's not a good idea. You might be able to get through it, but
not if
you're not going to get
it.
the optimal result.
So we just told the listeners about how much work they have to do and how it's going to take them longer. But let's put this in context, specifically for BAMCO. When you first came on board, if they wanted to sell it in 2002, they might maybe have gotten $1 million for it, the founders, and they would have had to split that. And I'm not sure how much you can say, but how much at the end of this deal, after putting in 15, going through the effort, and it obviously took longer, but 15 years, what was the financial return on that work? Because that's where I want my audience to get to, is like, if you're
financial return.
Yeah, if you're willing to put in the work, what types of results have people seen?
Oh, it's a multiple. It's a multiple of the cost of doing this. It could be
like millions of dollars.
I think it's hard to say because each situation is really different. But if you look at it in terms of a multiple, how much extra, if you were able to generate additional profits of $1 million, let's use that. Okay, it's worth 5 times that. It could be worth 10 times that.
Right. So, if let's say in this case that, it was a 5x return, and even over 15 years, that's a significant different place in life. And so that's where I want the audience to get to is, yes, we are asking you, if you're serious about selling your business, to bring on the right team, to put the right people around you, and to commit to a longer time horizon. But the payoff on the other side is so much more.
Exactly. It's a multiple.
Thank you, Robert, for being here. I really appreciate your story. I can't wait to have you back in season 2 to dig deep into ESOPs. In the meantime, thank you for being a guest.
Oh, my pleasure. Nice to see you. Thanks.
This is the 5-year exit with Becca Shea. Thanks for listening. And if you're interested in learning more about how we help CEOs and founders build great leadership teams that can work without them, go ahead and book a call with us. We'd love to talk more.